Good evening and welcome to Dungog Shire's August 2025 ordinary meeting. I declare the meeting opening at 6:01. All local governments in New South Wales are now required to record their meetings to enhance transparency in decision making and to improve public access. Please be advised that this meeting is being audio recorded and live streamed on Facebook and that the recording will be available on Council's webpage 24 hours post the meeting. The opinions or statements made during the course of the council meeting are those of the particular individuals and not the opinions or statements of council. Dungog Shire acknowledges the traditional owners and cultural custodians of country in the Dungog Shire, including the Gringi, Rewal, Wanneroo and Worimi peoples. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. There's no apologies, there's no indication of a leave of absence, and we're all here, so we'll be in person. There's no declared declaration of interest, so we move on to confirmation of last month's minutes of the meeting. Moved Councillor Lowe, seconded Councillor Carruthers. Councillor Lowe. Yeah. Councillor Lowe. So moved. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. Any matters arising from those minutes? No matters arising. We press on. Now we go to page 24, not planning, 9.1. Move Councillor Lowe.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, I have an alternate recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Mayor. Everyone's got a recommendation. Seconder, Councillor Carruthers. Councillor Lowe.
Mr. Mayor, I'd ask that the recommendation, the first three things are the same. The fourth I'll read out. This is dot point 4. In striving to achieve best practice with DA processing times, adopts a 28-day period for applicants to respond to requests for further information, and after that, further extensions will only be granted at staff discretion. And dot point 5, staff write to each applicant for a DA that has an RFI, that's request for further information, outstanding for more than 28 days, advising that the requested information is to be provided within 14 days from the date of correspondence issued by a council. Should the information not be received within 14 days, council will make a determination on the development application unless the applicant can demonstrate that positive steps have been taken towards providing the information. Mr. Mayor, I'll address the motion. It's very pleasing to see this report with a downward trend in the processing times of the DAs, and it's good that this report will be placed on council's website. Attached to the report are very long documents talking about, firstly, the Minister's declaration that he wants all DAs to be done within 14 days, and also the guidelines for processing of DAs under the EPNA Act. I would just point out that in moving those two extra dot points, we still allow the community time to provide the information, and we do understand that obtaining consultants' reports can be quite difficult. There's certainly not enough of them to meet the timely way, and that this gives the staff the discretion to make a decision about that.
Thank you, Councillor. Does anyone else like to speak on the motion? Councillor Patton.
I've got one question related to 5. Is there further option for the applicant? Will they have the opportunity to withdraw it?
I'll address that through the directors. Yes.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The answer to that is if they can demonstrate that they've made positive steps towards providing that information at the discretion of the staff, it would be that we would grant an extension of time if they can make positive steps towards providing that information.
The question was...
the question was, if they can't, council can make a determination, but question I'm putting forward is if they're unwilling to get an additional report, instead of seeking just a slam dunk determination, they can withdraw it. And then at some future time, submit it.
Thanks. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, we usually write to the applicant advising them of the options of one, withdrawing their application, or council would proceed with making a determination based on the information submitted.
Thanks for the clarity.
Is there any further discussion on Councillor Lay?
I just want to quickly note that, as Councillor Lowe has already mentioned, but the downward trend, I just want to say congratulations to the planning team. It's amazing what you can do when you finally get staff, and it's really positive to see. It really is. And I hope we continue down this path, and I think this is what a lot of people wanted. So well done.
Sorry. Yeah. Are there any further comments? I'll put the motions. Division required planning. Councillor Dowling, Councillor Lowe, Councillor Patton, Councillor Crothers, Councillor Lay, and Councillor Campbell, and I'm in vote in favour too. Thank you. Motion carried. We move to 9.2.
Move recommendation.
Move Councillor Lowe, seconded. Councillor Crothers, Councillor Lowe.
Mr. Mayor, this is a snapshot. I'll just point out that on pages 76 and 77, there were 26 DAs approved under delegated authority by the staff. 11 of those items are basically trivial matters that only come before a DA because of the drinking water catchment that we have. And so exempt and complying development provisions don't apply. And in looking at the previous motion about DA processing times, this obviously has an effect that's unique to our LGA. And it'll be a matter that if we do have difficulties with the minister's proclamation of 14 days, that we can certainly justify difficulty in achieving that. And it's one of those things that I think is ongoing with Hunter Water, where we're trying to get some consideration in that regard.
Thank you, Councillor Lowe. Is there any other discussion? Look, I just certainly reinforcing the point you made there, Councillor Lowe, and we certainly are having those serious discussions, and we have made some way with them, but not as much as we want. And I think we'll find over the next little while there'll be a bit more pressure on them. We're addressing that part of the planning. But the point you make is absolutely correct. So I'll put the motion. This is a division required. Councillor Dowling, Lowe, Patton, Carruthers, Lay, and Campbell, and myself. Motion carried. We move to 9.3. Councillor Lowe.
Mr. Mayor, I wish to move an amended recommendation. The same dot point number 1 and number 2 becomes number 3, and that recommendation number 2 would be that council rectify any typos and inconsistencies in the draft conditions, Annexure 3, and I would ask that through the General Manager that Director of Planning and Environment please advise council what those matters are.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just to clarify those matters, particularly in relation to the conditions. The clarification is in relation to typos and inconsistencies in the draft conditions, those being condition number 50, which abbreviation stands for Implementation of National Australian Built Environment Rating System, NABERS. Condition number 66, operating hours, confirming that Sunday being from 12 p.m. midday to 10 p.m. Condition number 72, managing noise, dot point 3, deletion of wording where required. And condition number 77, licensee manager to monitor noise levels, correction in sentence, and that sentence being the licensee and or manager of the premises will ensure that the noise levels from the entertainment and patrons do not exceed the allowable noise limits as per the liquor license. They are the clarifications. Thank you.
Councillor Lowe.
Thank you. What we have before us here is quite a lengthy document. And of course, this isn't the full thing. This is an amended and abbreviated explanation of the heads of consideration under the EP&A Act. And I guess the first thing we note with this is that the local centre zone, E1, is this activity is a permitted use in the zone. And I'd point out that the whole block is zoned that way. So all of the properties adjoining it, it's not like we've got a boundary here to consider or to be concerned about. There are certainly a lot of other things that one has concerns about. And there were 10 objections that we received. We also received 2 submissions in support of the application. And I'd point out that a petition was raised about the fact that Clarence did not need another bar, and 85 people signed that. So that's a significant impact on the community and controversy. I would point out, though, that being permissible in the zone means that it can be considered, and the numerous reports that are required in this have been provided extensively. And the important thing about this document we have before us is that on pages 107 through to 112, every issue raised by the concerns of the community in the submissions, and it also covered issue of the petition, have all been considered. The applicant has responded, and in some cases they've amended the application or clarified the issue. And of course, the assessing officer has made comments, and in all of them have been answered and considered satisfactory. And so we don't really have any reason to not approve this. I would point out that there are 80 conditions of approval. They're very extensive. And of course, they refer often with just 1 or 2 words to a whole document as submitted by the applicant. There are possible positives to this. I mean, there are opportunities for employment. There's also the potential to attract patronage from well outside the Shire, because, of course, for instance, marriage venues are very popular. And obviously the person who submitted this is taking a commercial decision to provide this facility. And I suggest that I'm hoping that it works out and that the conditions that have applied to it are successful, and our ongoing monitoring and compliance staff ensure that the place is run as stated here in the conditions.
Thank you, Councillor Lowe. Is there any other? Councillor Lowe.
So just on that petition that was raised, so today myself and likely other councillors were sent a petition with 96 signatures opposing this. In the email, it does say that they approached council with this and that council weren't interested in it. And I just want to follow up. Has anyone reached out to any staff? Probably a question for you, Trevor, with this petition, and why wasn't that passed on, considering that this is probably pretty relevant in my opinion?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I was made aware by the assessing officer following discussions with objectors that a petition was in train. However, in preparing the assessments and the reports and providing councillors with the information for consideration, that petition was not submitted directly to council, to my knowledge.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I like the rest of us councillors, received a petition at approximately midday, at least for myself today. In considering this DA, we have had a lot to work through, and it is, in my opinion, a majority, overly sound DA. With that being said, I do have some concerns with the conditions that council is putting on it in response to the concerns outlined by the community, 96 community members. And I do also note of the submissions that we formally received through council, out of 10 submissions against and opposing the DA, approximately 2 were outside of the LGA. But I just wanted to draw councillors' attention to condition 30 in terms of the hours of work. That is on page 134, part D. Due to the noise concerns that the community has outlined to council, I do agree with the amendments being put forward by fellow councillor Lowe, but I would also appreciate if the councillor is amenable to a further amendment to that, where that we point 3 becomes point 4, and a further point 3 be added, where council amend the draft conditions in annexure 3, in particular in condition C, 30 hours of work, whereby 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Monday to Friday should become 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Condition 66 on page 141 shall become, and that is in relation to operating hours, where the Monday through, bear with me, Monday to Thursday operating hours should become 12 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. And condition 68 for deliveries and waste on, I have it here, page 141 as well, yes, where it is amended to Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that is just in concern of the noise concerns that have been put towards council. And I do want to reiterate the point for any community members who wish to contact council. We, many of us do work outside of council as well, but if you reach out to us, we'll more than likely get back to you. And submitting this sort of petition on the day of the council meeting does not give us sufficient time to consider it, but I am putting forward this amendment if Councillor Lowe is amenable to them, to be able to put forward those concerns that we have had and address them.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Lowe, some suggestions have been put forward there.
Mr. Mayor, the petition was 85 signatories, and the hours of work are standard for these conditions. The tradesmen are going to start at 7, whether they're building a house or anything else as anyone can. And the other matters are covered in the report. They're described, and our amended time as part of the second point covers what is reasonable. And I don't propose we change anything in that regard, because it's consistent with the other venues that operate this way in the town.
Thank you, Councillor Lowe. Has anyone else want to make a comment? I'll just make a comment that we know the work on Clarence Bridge starts at 7 o'clock because the rock hammers wanging away at 7 o'clock. And I think Councillor Lowe's covered the other things. And it's interesting when you read through some of the other attachments in the last DA we had. I think a petition only counts as one submission. It was an interesting thing when I read through that. I didn't realise that. Anyway, if there's no further, Councillor Lowe, one more.
Sorry, just to follow up to my previous question. Are you aware that councillor gave the advice that the petition wouldn't be received? Because that's what That's what the email pretty much stated, that they approached council with the petition. I don't know if the petition was given, but that they had a petition, and the advice given to them was that council won't accept it.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to clarify, any advices that would have been given would have focused on the formal submission period, and the advice would have been that there's a formal exhibition period as part of the assessment process. We received 10 submissions during that period. If a petition were to be submitted to council outside of that window, it would not have counted as a formal submission. That would have been the advice. However, if a submission had been received to council, we would have provided it to councillors as an annexure, noting that it's not a formal submission received during the formal exhibition period as part of the assessment.
Councillor Campbell, only if it's something different, you've made your point.
It is, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Just on page 139, in regards to condition 52, I just had a question. It notes and 260 is the maximum number of persons permitted in the premises as approved under this consent. Now, there is several mentions within the documents provided to councillors about 200 being the maximum number of patrons at this venue, and given that the parking alone without the condition of having a shuttle bus for patrons is insufficient as per the DCP. Is that 260 figure an engineering figure, or is that the maximum amount of people allowed in the venue?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that figure would be based on the floor area associated with patrons and accessibility, having regard to the Building Code of Australia.
Thank you. If there's no further comment, I'll just make a quick comment. Look, I think we all appreciate the concerns of those that have been raised to us, and but as Councillor Lowe pointed out, they've all been addressed. But I think that too that there's also, Councillor Lowe alluded to, we look at the opportunities for businesses in the town, and I'm just thinking of an agricultural thing. Yes, agritourism is got a huge chance of boom. You know, it's a side issue, of course, but there will be opportunities that for us that arise out of that. That having said, I put the motion. This is a planning decision. So if you just show your hands, Councillor Dowling, Lowe, Patton, Carruthers, Lay, and Campbell, and I'm in favour too. Thank you.
Point of order,
Sorry?
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
I was not in favour.
Oh, sorry. I thought you had your hand up. Sorry. Do you want that recorded?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry. Okay. Motion still carried. Sorry. The screens obscure me sometimes here, right? All right. Thank you. We move to page 146, item 10, infrastructure and assets. Moved Councillor Carruthers. Seconded Councillor Campbell.
Move the recommendation.
Are there any other speakers on the motion? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Aye. Motion against? Motion carried. Move to page 149, 10.2 Works Progress Report. Moved Councillor Patton. Seconded Councillor Carruthers. Councillor Patton.
Move the recommendation.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on it? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Aye. Against? Motion carried. Move to page 154, 11 Works Cost Statement. Move Councillor Patton. Is your red lights on? And Councillor Carruthers. Councillor Patton.
Move the recommendation, Mayor.
Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. Statement of investments on page 157. Move Councillor Carruthers. Seconded Councillor Lay. Councillor Carruthers.
I move the recommendation.
Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against, motion carried. We now move to page 160, Office of General Manager, draft local orders and approval policy for public exhibition. Moved. Councillor Patton. Councillor Campbell seconded. Councillor Patton.
Move the recommendation as contemplated.
Is there any discussion on it? If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. We move to page 163. Code of Conduct, administration of Code of Conduct. Move. Councillor Carruthers, Councillor Lay seconded. Councillor Carruthers.
I move the recommendation.
Is there any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. We move to one of my favourites, which is getting smaller and smaller, the resolution tracking report on page 166. And we have moved Councillor Lowe, seconded Councillor Cross. Councillor Lowe.
Mr Mayor, it gives me great pleasure to move this recommendation. It's the first time I've done it since this report was introduced, which is a milestone for me on a personal level. I would point out that the report is getting smaller, and we're certainly getting through lots of things. It's actually become quite a boring document to read.
Thank you, Councillor Lowe. Any further comment? If no further comment, put the motion. All in favour? Aye. Against? Motion carried. Positive community feedback, page 178. Move Councillor Carruthers, seconded Councillor Campbell. Councillor Carruthers.
I move the recommendation.
Look, I think it's great that we see the positive and gratitude given to our compliance officer Jody, and a thoughtful action there in follow up and with the welfare check. So well done to Jody and our team. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. We move to page 180. Notice 13.1, notice of motion, strengthening council advocacy through collaboration. Councillor Dowling.
I'd just like to move an amended motion, Mr Mayor.
Read it out.
Read it out. Okay.
Have
The
we got it
review
here? We haven't got a copy of it.
Have you got a copy of that?
13.1.
13.1.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Alexandria gave it to you.
Oh, okay. I got it.
Good.
Right.
Okay. That the review of council's advocacy strategy include: number one, a clear definition of the appropriate roles of the mayor, deputy mayor, and councillors in council's advocacy efforts, ensuring that responsibilities align with council's endorsed advocacy strategy and leadership. Number two, the use of the council's endorsed advocacy strategy document to guide decision-making and participation in advocacy meetings, ensuring that council's advocacy priorities are clearly reflected in all discussions and interactions with ministers, local members of parliament, shadow ministers, and state or federal agencies. Point three, invitations to meetings with ministers, local members of parliament, shadow ministers, and state and federal departments will be extended to at the discretion of the mayor, with the mayor making the final decision on who attends. In cases where meetings are organised by individual councillors, the mayor and that councillor will attend, with the option for other councillors or the deputy mayor to attend where possible.
Is there a seconder for Councillor Carruthers? Is there anyone to speak for the motion? Councillor Carruthers.
Yes, just wanting to state that I think whilst the original motion was speaking to a lot of what we already do, this just further clarifies as to what we are doing and as a council how we want to move forward with regards to advocating for the Shire.
Thank you. I'll just make a couple of comments myself. If you look at dot point 2, and I've only just had 2 minutes to look at this now, not even 2 minutes, right? Ensuring council advocacy priorities are clearly reflected in all discussions and interactions with ministers. Look, there's a lot of things come up that are not actually highlighted in our advocacy priorities, and Councillor Lowe was just addressing that as we will have with Hunter Water, and it's a moving ship, a moving target all the time. So you don't want to get yourselves too locked into something that you suddenly say, oh, I can't talk about it because it's a policy this frigging council's got, right? That's stupid. It's always got to be flexible and common sense. And then if I make a point on number 3, that you've got, if where meetings are organised by individual councillors, the mayor and that councillor will attend. Well, it might be that the mayor doesn't want to attend. I mean, the mayor may say, someone else, the deputy mayor, if you're silly enough, you want to go, whatever, right? So I think you don't want to lock yourself in with some words that where common sense it doesn't work, right? So apart from those 2 points that I make, and Mr. Mayor, sorry, yeah.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. You might want to change that will to may.
Yeah,
thank you.
Certainly.
May 10, I'll have to amend that.
May 10. Okay, and I think if we all understand clearly that item 2 is a moving target, right, and new things will come up all the time. We've all got the advocacy book. We all agree to it. We know what's in it, and that gives us a lead. So the rest is all common sense. Councillor Carruthers.
So just noting in that point 2 that the document is to guide the decision making and participation in advocacy meetings, and I think that infers that it would also guide those conversations as well. Obviously, we do have other advocacy, as Councillor has raised earlier in the meeting, with Hunter Water and issues that arise that need to be addressed and that we're pushing for that may not be reflected in the nitty-gritty of that document. But I think if we've got that document as a starting point to guide us in those discussions and conversations.
Certainly. Councillor Lay.
I beat you.
Oh, sorry.
So just through you, Mr. Mayor, dot point 2, I'm probably not comfortable with that
What was that?
at all. I think,
What dot point were you talking
sorry,
about?
2,
2.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Whilst I appreciate the intention of the guide, I don't think that is appropriate for individual councils when representing 2 Parliament ministers or anyone really, that we have to abide by that. It kind of takes that autonomy away in situations. So I'd probably strike that altogether. I'd be more comfortable with that. And with number 3, just question for council staff, probably general manager. What is the current policy on who is the decision maker on who can attend these meetings as referenced in point 3?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Lay, it all depends on who organises the meeting. So often it might be the minister that specifies the minister may wish to meet with the mayor, and often the general manager is invited as a bit of a tag along for support. But in other occasions, you might get a meeting with the minister where that invitation is given out to everyone. But there's no obligation on councillors to attend those either. So there can be restrictions that are above and beyond what the council has in terms of their control. Otherwise, it would be at the discretion of the mayor. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor.
Sorry, just in reply to that, I would suggest, so just a follow-up question on that. Would this change that policy then in that it really just gives the mayor ultimate discretion in all situations, which again, I don't think is really flexible enough or appropriate in some situations. So therefore, I probably wouldn't say we need to change that at all if that is the case.
Mr. Mayor, hearing what you have to say, the discretion of the mayor, it depends on if the mayor is actually seeking to meet with ministers. Often that discretion is, here are some is a delegation of people I've selected to come and meet with you, and I don't recall any situation where any minister, for example, has said no, you can't come. Like usually when the mayor says here's the delegation, that attends. So I think that's fine in terms of that wording. I don't think it limits the discretion of the mayor, and I don't think it. The only issue I would see is where a minister would say, "I only want to meet with the mayor." for example, and then he can't, he has no discretion in that instance, so. I think I've answered your question. I don't see, I don't foreshadow any problems with that particular motion other than sometimes the discretion is not ours.
Councillor Lowe, did you want to make a start? Councillor Lowe.
I think we're overlooking the importance of dot point 1 here, in that we're talking about a clear definition of the appropriate roles that we all play in advocacy efforts. And I think that a reasonable action there needs to consider the fact that you need ideally 1 or 2 spokespersons for the council, and they're delegated normally to be the general manager and the mayor. And people, as I've said before about this, need to be very careful about engaging in a subject that they may not know fully what it's all about. And it's one of the reasons why the mayor attends so many meetings and functions and has meetings with the general manager, so that they're both talking from the same songbook. They understand the issues affecting staff and operational matters as well as policy matters. And that's the important point there of number 1. Following on to what was discussed about item 2 and the advocacy strategy document, it's very important, and that is clearly delineated. And talking about meeting with ministers and local members, people have to be very concerned about, and councillors, not speaking on behalf of the council. And that's the difficulty there. The people who speak on behalf of the council are the 2 I mentioned before, and hopefully that'll be made very clear to everyone in dot point 1.
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, certainly it's a common sense thing. I'm sure you're all aware of, there was a meeting organised by the National Party where I was involved, and I think Councillor Dowling might have organised it, right? And they did not want anyone else in the room, which is that's the way, you know. So some of these things happen. And you have to use a bit of common sense. Do I go to the meeting or I don't go to the meeting? You know, is every other councillor involved or not, right? So it's all common sense. And, you know, Councillor Lowe has had so many years of this under his belt. He knows exactly how it works. And certainly too with the Hunter Joint Organisation, advocacy there, you know, we're talking with ministers and groups, and but we follow the role that we want to follow. So, is everyone happy with Councillor Councillor Cruz's motion? Sorry. Yeah. So thank you for that. If no more discussion, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. We go to page 181, 13.2, and we've got Councillor Dowling.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a slight.
Is it yours?
I have a slight amendment to the motion. Dot point 1. That the review of the current councillor and staff interaction policy also include opportunities for equitable councillor interaction, including the time following council briefings, which is offered to councillors to discuss matters with the general manager and the executive leadership team, and that a workshop be held for all councillors with the general manager as part of the review. And dot point 2 remains the same.
So you have a second of Councillor Crothers. Councillor Dowling.
Country, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so is there any further discussion? No. I'm a bit disappointed. Councillor Carruthers.
Just good to see that there's been that amendment to include those current arrangements that are already in place to ensure that equity and access to the general manager and the executive leadership team.
Thank you. Yeah, so I certainly would think that that's already in place, but I was a bit disappointed we didn't go on with some of the other discussions. I looking forward to the musical chairs arrangement we had where when the music stopped, you get to sit beside the mayor, the lucky ones. But anyway, that motion's been changed. And I'll put the motion, no more for the mucking around. All in favour, aye. Against, motion carried. 182, Committee Outside Organisation Report, move out, Councillor Crothers.
Yeah.
Seconded by Councillor Patton.
I'd just like to highlight an amendment to the recommendation here. So 1 to 4 stay as is. However, I'd like to move an amendment and include number 5, that council provide a contribution of $500 towards the Patterson School of Arts 90th birthday celebration event to be held on the 12th October 2025 in recognition of the exceptional efforts of our volunteer 355 committee. The volunteers who make up this committee work tirelessly, as reflected in their meeting minutes, not only to ensure this community asset remains fit for purpose and accessible to the public, but also going above and beyond to celebrate the community and acknowledge the 90 years of service that the School of Arts Hall has provided as a venue for events, committees and community groups.
Thank you, Councillor. Who seconded that? Councillor Patton. Councillor Patton. Sorry, Councillor Patton.
Support the recommendation with the inclusion of 5.
Including 5. Yep. Is there any other, Councillor Lay?
Councillor Patton,
Oh,
Can I just clarify? I did have some brief conversation beforehand that 500 funds that was intended to come out of the allotment in the budget for the hall from council.
yep. Councillor.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Councillor Lowe, that is correct. There are funds that are set aside within council to assist in the management of those halls, and that $500 is from that budget, and there's funds available. Thank you.
Any further discussion? I'll put the motion. All in favour, aye. Against, motion carried. We go to 184, 14.2. Moved, Councillor Campbell. Seconded, Councillor Lay. Councillor Campbell.
I move the motion as recommended.
Any further discussion? I'll put the motion. All in favour, aye. Against, motion carried. We now, is there a move that we move into closed council? Move Councillor Lowe, second Councillor Dowling. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All in favour, motion carried. Closed council confidential. In accordance with Local Government Act 1993 and the Local Government General Regs 2005, business can be dealt with in a closed part of a meeting. Council has resolved to move into closed council to consider the business identified. The media and the public are now excluded from the meeting on the basis that the business to be considered is classified as confidential under the provisions of Section 10A2 of the Local Government Act. The audio recording and live streaming of the meeting will now cease and resume again at the open council. Thank you.